All right, so I would say that this is pretty much like a, but like 1700 to 1800 rating, like on average. Diverse is legendary, Cookie's legendary. I do believe that Galhadir was legendary, Flooddy's legendary, and Wing is legendary. So these are all legendary players on the red team. Flandry, I'm not sure. I think he might have been legendary. Synod, legendary. Frozen, legendary. Vibrian, legendary. And Sakiki, I'm not sure. They're just like unfamiliar names. I've seen them like playing more recently. I don't know if they've like changed character names or something. But I would expect that we will see a good match here. What's up, Ish? What do you want? Who do I think will win? Red team. Nothing against anybody on blue team, but
the match starts soon.
That's where I put my money. Biased? I know. It's because there's Cookie and Floody. I like Cookie and Floody. Nah, but I mean, literally, just in terms of like what their comp really represents as well. You never know. Okay, so Floody playing his Elixir build again, running HGH instead of Iron Blooded. Again, this is pretty much the way that this build is played. It's more offensive than it is defensive, but your defenses come back to you from Elixir Rest, like the active. You can negate all condition output, all burst damage, and obviously you have your passive there as well from using Lesser Elixir Rest in self-regulating defenses. So as you can see, they're currently investing heavily into the mid node. Aoki Pain is a Power Shiver Revenant. He's a rotational damage dealer. Cookie Big is playing Firebrand support to pair with Wing. Wing is the Scourge Necro, who I know is running Deadshot Amulet with Curse of Soul Reaping. And then finally, you have Diverse PMA, who is acting as a Bruiser side node owner, who is using Sword Torch. And he's also using Staff, obviously, to sustain the duel. So he actually won the duel there into Sakiki, who is the core guardian. I actually would have expected Sakiki to win that, given the fact that he has Smite Conditions and Contemplation of Purity, but I guess he just ran out of his sustain. He was forced to disengage because he used his elite, which obviously is his invulnerability. Karshrock Bloodclaw is the Firebrand support to Budget Litu, aka Synod, who again is probably running the same build. Yeah, Curse of Soul Reaping. When you see a Scourge with a Firebrand, they should be actively using this build setup because it's just so effective. But it's very heavily reliant on having a personal Firebrand who's going to chase you and keep you alive. Kisu PMA is playing Spellbreaker Warrior, which I would expect to be a side node owner. Everything he's using seems pretty true of the meta build. So again, he's running the 4 stun break build. So double charge on Shake It Off. Endure Pain, also a break stun. And then Featherfoot Grace, which is also a break stun. So he's looking for a 1v2 engagement here. Flandry has come in for the +1. But if Flandry actually goes down, this is... He was good to get the decap there. And he's actually impossible to res because he's literally sitting on the portal. And then he Not like this. Okay, so, I mean, that probably wasn't the best thing for him to do. He had 2 people there about to res him. The Bryant coming in with a save, dude. Oh, that was so close. Okay, so he probably shouldn't have TP'd away. I think he TP'd away so that his teammates wouldn't waste time resing him. Not really sure if that was the best idea. Anyway, he's running 21-5-2-2, which means he's hybrid. He's still running Staff, Chaos Straight Line. He is looking to, again, be the Bruiser engaged. So him and Diverse PMA. I think Diverse is actually running a different build. So Diverse is still running the same weapon set. Actually, no. Diverse is not running Staff. He's running fucking Axe Pistol and Sword Torch. My bad. So he is still running Carrion Amulet. Whoa. Pedro, dude, thank you for the Twitch Prime, brother. Woo! Money, money! Thank you! Thank you very much. Okay, so Diverse is actually more of an offensive fighter. He can actually operate in a 1v1, but he will not sustain as long as, say, the likes of Flandry, who will undoubtedly be able to use things on the Staff kit and in the Chaos Straight Line to survive. So we can actually see that the blue team they're really dicking on him, and my prediction is going a bit half-assed here. Oh yeah, by the way, the reason that nobody on the red team went for that is because they're already at a deficit. Every single time that they try and make something happen, it doesn't pay off. So they couldn't even send one person from the red team to actually go and deal with that. So blue team are about to lose Karshok. So Firebrand goes down on the blue team. This means that I would expect the Scourge Necro to follow. And then Flandry may follow as well. Diverse is here punishing him. What a good portal. What a debate. Okay, so Flandry goes down. So actually, as I was saying, blue team were taking the lead, but red team are actually ahead now. They're actually in effectively a 5v3. As long as nobody on the red team goes down, they will maintain this lead. So 5v2, they need to get the decap. Floody rotates into Kitu with Diverse, so they're actually able to overpower Kitu in this regard because they have such a numbers advantage. It's not bad for them to be in a 2v1 for this time. They do have to pay attention to the fact that Sakiki and Flandry are coming out of their base as we speak. So anything that they were going to gain, which obviously is an entire neutral... I don't even know what I would say. Like, neutrality over the entire map. They got all the nodes decapped. However... even though the blue team had like 3 players dead, they still managed to cap their close node. So they still managed to keep some form of like points ticking whilst this was happening. Now you're going to see the 1v1 over here. Spellbreaker into Floody, the Elixir Hollow. He should actually win this engagement. He's not using Keto's full counter there. He's not triggering it. Knocking him out of the node. And here comes Rampage. So you can see what Floody did. Straight into Elixir S. He's just disengaged. Kitu gains nothing from his elite. Absolutely nothing. Completely negated. Hits Corona Burst before he actually engaged. Debated the full counter. Did not trigger the full counter. Unless he did with the after effect of Corona Burst. I didn't see it. But he is playing this really, really well into the Spellbreaker. He keeps debating. You see that? That's really, really good play. Like, he's using Weapon Stow and everything very, very effectively. And now Kitu... The duelist, the Spellbreaker duelist, is forced to run away, disengage, and here he goes. He's gonna die. So really fucking well played there by Floody, and you can see that like how well a Holosmith can play into a Spellbreaker if you do it right. Yeah, but he got the decap, but now he's dead. Like, Keto's gonna be bleeding out for another like 15 seconds, and then Kitu won't be back on the map for another 15. He can recap this node and then rotate and make something happen with his teammates. So overall, it's actually a better thing to be in this position. So meanwhile, you can see that Aoki Payne was about to die, but Cookie is trying to sustain him, and he can't. Holy shit, so that's a 3v2, and there's the Signet Res. So actually, Cookie did that really smart. He jumped up on the platform above before he cast Signet of Mercy. Nobody was able to interrupt him, and that was like a really, really quick thing that he did. He didn't even have to think about that. Aoki Payne did go down again. There's Cookie re-sustaining again. Aoki Payne is going to get a target and phase traversal straight up. There we go. So Car Shock being the priority target here. They want to make sure that they actually prevent any sustainability. Wing has gone down. Re-sustained again by Cookie. And Floody is actually able to come and get the Skyhammer. So he's leaving it at a single tick. So he's trying to debate somebody from the blue team away from the like the nodes just to try and bring them in. And then as soon as they're in, he's going to cap and leave. Nobody's come in. So he's actually not wasting any more time. And now he's actually got the neutral against Kitu. He's probably going to rotate straight into Kitu. So there we go. So Floody is making that rotation into the 1v1. Just as you would imagine an engineer to do. Like I said, engineer Holosmith can actually fulfill whatever they feel that they need to. So they can be a rotational damage dealer. They can have a 1v1 engage. They can be in a 1vx. It depends how they use their kit. So once again, look. There's the use of Elite. There's the Elixir S. And the full waste of the Rampage. However, he was obviously +1'd by the Core Guardian. And they had to just leave that go. So now it's a case of the other way around. Kitu is now allowed to wait for Floody to bleed out. And the blue team will gain some passive gain off this. It's so strange to see everybody just fighting off node, though. Like... I think the more that I've played this game, the more I've realized that fighting off node isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's important to engage off node, simply because like that's where people are built up, or that's where like people have placed elites, or you know they're able to catch people in transition, and so on and so forth. So don't always be that person that says fight on node, fight on node. You don't have to do that. Because if they, say for example, if they wiped out the entire team down here on like in this little corner area and they could just bleed them all out slowly, that would be a huge gain across like the entire map for that team. And yeah, distraction off node can also be a good thing in transition when you already own nodes. So say for example, you had, you know, 2 node ownership and then the other node was neutral and somebody was you know, walking to go and cap that node. If you catch them in the middle and, you know, prevent them from doing anything on that node, and that node stays neutral, that node stays owned, you know, with your team ownership, then you will obviously gain a lot off of that. So this is weird, seeing a Scourge against a Spellbreaker, even though Kitu actually has... Oh, he knocked him away? He knocked him away from being able to utilize the knockup. That could have been good. So Wing is actually very susceptible here in this engagement. He needs somebody to rotate into him. So Cookie is actually still getting the decap in mid. I wonder if Cookie will rotate. So yeah, Cookie sees the fact that Wing is actually getting punished. Will he actually come and help him? No. So Cookie's more interested in actually preventing the cap of the Skyhammer simply because the red team need to keep that node ticking. They do not want the blue team to get that decap. Floody does not have enough in his arsenal to actually prevent a lot of the output that's coming from Synod here. He's already used his active. He actually tossed Elixir S there for no reason. That's a bad idea, I think. Why did he toss? If they could have capped that. They're like one tick away now because Floody tossed Elixir S, and that made them go in stealth, and that meant that the blue team actually got more of the node tick. If they can push both red team members out of that node, then they will cap. Like that, see? So now, red team lost their node ownership.
Just like that, blue team takes a capture.
Why is Aoki Payne here in the engagement into Flandry? Like, I would argue that, like, Floody should have been here. Maybe it would have been made, you know, more sense for a Revenant to be on the Skyhammer to rotate in. So see, now, like, Flandry actually caps that node for free. 3v3 engage in the mid node. Floody has no active or passive Elixir S, so he's going to go down to the punishment from Sakiki. He gets res by the Signet res from Cookie, so Signet Mercy now on cooldown for the red team. Floody able to probably utilize like Elixir U and straight down again to the burst from Flandry, and I think he actually ate some damage from Sakiki. They can't prevent the stomp from Flandry because obviously he can just use his dodge mid-stomp. Which is literally just like using an invulnerability in the middle of stomping. And meanwhile, the blue team are still ticking on this C node. Nobody's able to really rotate out to this, especially considering the fact that Floody went down. Floody's going to go and get it right now and prevent any point gain anyway. But I think that, yeah, Wing's gone down. So, Vibryant getting the stomp on Wing, that means that the blue team are in a 5v4, especially considering that now Floody is over here in this 1v1 against Flandry. I wonder if he'll actually win this. Flandry punished. Disengaged. Now look at the amount of healing he gets from False Oasis. Literally, like, he picked up like 10,500 healing there just from the fact that he's running Sage Amulet. Like, that extra healing power is insane in a 1v1. So Floody's actually winning this engagement, but he's being +1 by Synod. So now both of them can actually engage onto Floody. Why was Flandry there, allowing him to be himself to be like constantly poked down? Floody, again, being a little bit distracted, chasing after Synod. Maybe they want ownership or they need to... Actually, no, this is actually priority because what they want is to actually prevent the blue team from having ownership over the mid node. So that's actually a really good rotation for Floody. Whether or not his node got decapped on this by Flandry, they needed to get that decap in mid. So once again, Flandry's about to get 2v1, actually. So the Power Shield Revenant jumped into Flandry. He's going to continue to pressure whilst Floody caps the node. Floody is not leaving the node because he wants to cap it. They need points. They need passive point gain. So it makes sense for Floody to sit there and just to cap the node whilst Aoki Payne was punishing. I think that somebody on the blue team actually went down there and was rezzed by... Actually, no. No. Was it Cookie that used it? Somebody was in half health. I could have sworn I saw like the blue symbol on the map. I wasn't quick enough to see what was happening. So, what's happening right now is both of the side nodes are capped by the red team. Okay? Now, actually, take a look at what Kitu's doing. Kitu knows what he needs to do. He's rotating. They poured it out. So, actually, where did they pour it out from? Did they pour it out from Skyhammer? So, actually, they came in and they got the decap on the C node. Diverse is here to actually try and prevent them from doing this. This is a 2v1. Diverse goes down. Didn't die on the node. Okay, so he's teleported back in, actually, from his downstate too. So, Flandry was actually really smart there. So, in between Skyhammer pulses, he was actually keeping himself on the node. So they didn't actually get the full decap, even though Red actually got the Skyhammer. Kitu rotated out to the side node as well and got the decap there, even though it actually... yeah, it was in the Red team ownership. So the Skyhammer went off for the Red team. It didn't get the full decap over the C node because Flangy was stood there with Elusive Mind. So even though he managed to dodge the damage output from the Skyhammer, he was still passively capping it. And similarly, as soon as the Skyhammer finished, Keto capped the side node. So once again, blue team take ownership back over those nodes. And now everybody is like pushing into the C node. So watch what Keto does. Keto is not invested in actually joining that team fight. Even though he knows his team is at a disadvantage, he's thinking about passive point gain. So he doesn't want the red team to actually be anywhere near the blue team in this final. So he's just preventing them from getting anywhere closer. So actually now, he's using his rampage to try and get back closer to Diverse, who actually TP'd in and got that node. Oh my god. So now there's no nodes capping, but there's 32 seconds left on the clock. So even though Red Team got the kill on Carshock and Litu, they have 24 seconds to make this happen. It's impossible. Red Team can't win this. There's absolutely no way they win this. So that is a full 15-minute game, dudes. And that's 60 points in it. Holy shit. Yeah, but even if Kitu lost the 1v1s, it doesn't really matter because they still had more points at the end there. He started playing like a thief. Yeah, but I mean, you see that it's not true that he's playing like a thief because Kitu, as a spellbreaker, would actually be opting to rotate into those nodes that need decapping anyway. You know, he would be looking to prevent point gain and to encourage people to come to him regardless. So, you know, what else are you going to do as a spellbreaker besides sit on nodes and encourage 1vx's? Next time, bet on the better Firebrand? Oh, come on, Brian. That was a good game. Don't start throwing fucking shade, dude. Don't start throwing shade. What's up, Ice Tech? How you doing, dude?
Blue team grabbed a capture point.
This could be a relatively equal game, actually. So I think I'll do this. Give me a sec to just open up the spectate, take a note of the time. What's the date? It's the 21st. Game 1. This is going to be a really awkward intro, isn't it? But whatever. It's all good. Okay, so Tramadex is playing Trama War. This is his build. It's basically heavy on endurance regen and gives him a ton of abilities to evade as well as doing high burst damage. He runs the strength trait line instead of discipline. Actually, instead of defense, which makes him more offensive as a player. He also runs... Oh, wait. He's running sword dagger, rather. Normally he runs sword shield, so I guess he thought that he could be more offensive in this matchup. And he's running Berserker as well. He's gone full fucking tryhard. He was, normally he plays like Demolishers, I think, or Marauders. Literally just for damage output. So that's actually really interesting. He just wants to go fucking full ham. That's cool. Aoki Payne is playing Power Shearer Revenant, as we were just discussing. Very, very high in damage output, as you've just witnessed. He completely shut down that Guardian. Prototype is running World Scourge. So, Carrion Amulet, Rinal Melandro, so he has over 30,000 health, which is to be expected. Scepter Warhorn and Staff, which I guess is typical. But he is running the Blood Magic trait line. Obviously, I'm assuming this is... Oh, here you go. So he does have Ritual of Life for, you know, reviving his teammates. With fast... Wait. Didn't he just fall down? Did he just walk back up? Or am I... Did I just... I'm confused. Anyway, yeah, he's running Vampire Rituals for Resustain, which basically siphons health on auto attacks and spells. And obviously, the Well of Blood itself that he's carrying, he can also place underneath players and res them. So not only does he get the passive one, he has the active one as well. And he is basically just team damage. Maxi Flash is the support for him. As you saw, he almost died there, so he dipped out in an attempt to create line of sight. And he was resustained by his Firebrand support. Maxi Flash being the Firebrand support to pair with the Scourge. You can see that he's running Signet of Mercy, which is a channeled res spell, so if the Necromancer does go down, he has a method of reviving him as long as he channels some stability first, otherwise he can be chain interrupted and prevented. Milamoa is playing what I can only assume to be either hybrid or condition output. Okay, so he's running Sage Amulet, which is hybrid output. The healing power of Sage Amulet enables him to effectively heal himself for like 10,500 every single time that he uses False Oasis. It tricks in. And the hybrid basically means that he's not limited to a certain type of damage output. He does have Staff as well, which enables him more as a bruiser because there are more defensive skills in the Staff output. Blue team, Ryuk is a Firebrand support. Necro with Potato is a Scourge Necro. He does have 26,972, so I'm assuming possibly Rune of Adventure paired with... Rune of the Traveler, sorry. Not Rune of Adventure. He had the additional health from the additional stats. I shouldn't have said Rune of Adventure. If he was 26,612, then it would have been Rune of Adventure. And he's running Deadshot, so I'm assuming Curse is Soul Reaping, so he has no self-sustain off the back of that. He's not passing Vampiric Rituals or anything like that. He is literally just looking to do high damage. But he can do that because he is being sustained by his Firebrand, which is Chris. I made this for fun, is playing a hybrid build with Staff on Mirage. As you can see, Sage Amulet, again, 21,522 is the standard for hybrid output. Still using Rune of Scavenging, and I think he has exactly the same weapon set as Milamoa. So he's operating as a bruiser. Who is playing Core Guardian, as you can see, probably running with Valkyrie Amulet. Yep, and it's pretty much the standard hammer build. He's got sword focus as well for additional power burst. And then finally you have Illegal Math, who is playing SD Weaver. Wait, is it SD? Yeah, SD Weaver. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember the icons. If he was playing Focus, he would be a lot less sustainable. But he is looking to create 1vx engages and to essentially keep any opponent away from the node. So as you can see, he's on that side node right now. He's going to defend that home node with his life whilst his team spreads themselves across the other nodes and tries to make something happen. They have picked up the middle node and this side node now, and it looks to me like the red team Revenant, aka Pain, is now dueling with the Mesmer in order to gain ownership over this side node. He does have the burst potential to shut this down, but he's also very susceptible to condition damage. So if the Mirage is able to land a lot of condition damage onto the Revenant, then he will benefit. Tramadex has come in 2+1 and ultimately will relieve the Revenant of this engagement. Scourge Necro is here as well. There we go. So who, the Core Guardian, has gone down, and I'm assuming the Mesmer will follow. The Mesmer obviously trying to prevent Aoki Pain from doing anything. If the Mesmer is able to get this stun... not stun, it was a stomp, but basically who died and rallied. So I actually thought that Mesmer was going to be able to get an evade stomp off there. Basically, Mesmers can trigger a stomp and then evade in the middle of the action, and then secure that stomp similarly to like using an invulnerability. That would have been potentially a method of picking who up, but unfortunately they failed. Red team are getting a bunch of blue team members on respawn as well, so obviously the Firebrand now being down, the Scourge Necro being down as well, means that the red team is in a 5v3. I made this for fun, aka the Mirage, is currently rotating out, going to push into the red team close and contest the far node. This is an optimum time for the red team to take their nodes back, which is exactly what they've done. Red team are going to resustain here. They are going to have the close node and the mid node, and they need, what, like 30 seconds in order to actually resustain or to rebalance the output of the match. Blue team still have nothing ticking, so the blue team need to make something happen here that is gonna re-enable their momentum. So the Firebrand is now picking up this node. It's going to be contested by Tramadex. I'd be surprised if Tramadex even allows him to get this final couple of ticks. And that was a good wall in order to prevent Tramadex from being able to be on the node. Tramadex is pretty squishy, which is something you have to bear in mind as well. He is running Berserker Amulet with not as much sustain, so he will die very quickly to condition output. As you're witnessing right now, there was the condition removal. He was trying to debate. He debated the Firebrand away. Oh my god. That could have paid off if he got to his signet in time. I feel like he ate that on purpose in order to debate the Firebrand away to thinking that the warrior was going to go down, And then he immediately used Signet of Stamina, to completely remove all conditions and remove the damage output and then attempt to punish the Necromancer. So that could have paid off. The red team in this time have taken a 30-point lead. And they are still sustaining the mid node with their Firebrand and Revenant combo into the Scourge and Firebrand combo. The Revenant will probably disengage ASAP once the Scourge is here. And you can see that the Firebrand is not moving off of the node because he wanted to ensure that that last tick was not picked up by the blue team. The ownership of this node is very important for the red team holding their lead here. Albeit it's only like 32 points, it's still integral. Milamoa has gone down, which means the blue team is in a 5v4. And Tramadex is possibly going to follow if he can't like turn this into anything. Illegal Math, being the duelist, is opting to stand on the node and immediately pick that up for his team, which means blue team are now ticking 2 nodes to 1. And now they have decapped the mid node, which means that the blue team have a potential here where they can come back from this. If the red team pick up the blue team close, which the Revenant is currently capping over here, Aoki Payne is in the bottom left-hand side of the map. He's now capped that, meaning that there will be equal point gain until something happens in the mid node. So the mid node is actually where a lot of this is taking place. Milamoa has rotated into the Elementalist. They have punished the fuck out of him with a ton of condition output. Tramadex is going to probably burn him out instead of stomping him out because Illegal Math could just use the downstate mist form and, you know, take his time. So Tramadex just wants to eliminate him as quickly as possible. Now red team are back in a position where they get double node capture, and blue team are still losing this. They did not manage to translate that into anything in the mid node. So whilst we see a giant clusterfuck of damage, condition output, and power output, we do see the prototype go down though, and being stomped by Ryuk. So again, this puts the blue team in a bit of a favorable position. Necro with Potato gets rezzed by Ryuk's Signet of Mercy. So Ryuk's, he secures the stomp, then rallies his Necromancer with a channel. And now this kind of leads towards the blue team making something happen. Milamo will probably go down here to the condition output. Oh, that was really good CC output by Aoki Payne. He channeled the elite from the Power Shiro Rev, stunned everybody, and everybody just locked him down. Red team will solidify this win here. So what's going to be... Well, actually, no. Actually, no, because Illegal Math rotated off towards the side node and is currently ensuring that that is not contested. They would end up wasting time trying to prevent this or take this from the blue team. And I do believe that the Mesmer rotated away as well. So he was on the far node. I think he dropped the portal. Wait, he's not even running portal. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? You're playing an AT as a Mesmer. Carry portal. Always carry portal. Fuck illusionary ambush. You don't need that. Take portal. You see, right now, if he had rotated out here, dropped the portal, and then rotated back in towards mid, he would have debated everybody from the red team back towards the mid node, ported back, and got the decap on that node and slowed the game down again. If you're playing Mesmer in Conquest, you need to have portal. You got to get used to making portal plays. Blue team are officially throwing this game. They're throwing their lead. So Core Guardian goes down. Scourge is now down as well. He's been stomped. Blue team had the potential of out-rotating here, but I think that the blue team actually lost, even with the numbers advantage. That's a triple cap to finish. That's a GG. Unfortunately, that's it. I'm doing well, thank you, Ice. I'm doing very well. We had a pretty interesting discussion earlier. So I'm going to be doing a podcast on Friday. I'm going to try and get some people involved, and we'll discuss the current ins and outs of ArenaNet and their decisions and stuff like that. So that was pretty interesting. Mesmer just killed himself as well. Amazing. Well, GG to the red team there. They solidified that game, even though it was very, very close for... Wow. I mean, that's a 5 minute. So that's 5 minutes, and that's fucking 10 minutes. The game only really got away from them in the 11th minute. That's impressive. I mean, it's a close game. I'm glad that I picked that one because I was gonna go for the other one, and I'm glad that I picked on this one because I recognized the names and I thought that they would be relatively even balanced. So at least me watching ATs has generally got better for me in terms of being able to gauge who's going to be a good match and who isn't. Game 2. I'm really fucking behind on this. I'm getting distracted. You can't start the game as Scourge, dude. Right, Tramodex still playing Tremor War. This time with Demolishers, and he's running Sword Shield. So he has gone with a more defensive setup for this game. Aoki Pain still playing Power Shiro Revenant, a rotational damage dealer. So we have one Duelist, one Node Owner, one Revenant who's a rotational damage dealer. The Scourge Necromancer still running well. Still running Carrion Amulet as well, but does have Blood Magic for Resustain. Maxi Flash playing Firebrand Support. Does not have Signet of Mercy for like rezzing his Necromancer counterpart. And Milamoa still opting to play the hybrid damage dealer of Mesmer with Staff for a Bruiser matchup. Sakiki playing Power Shiro Revenant, rotational damage dealer. Raspberry Pancake is playing Firebrand Support. However, with Signet of Mercy, Gandalf Comeback is playing Power Shiro Rev as well. So they have two rotational damage dealers with very high burst. Thickest Man Alive is playing Hollowsmith. And the difference being that his Hollowsmith build is of the Elixir variety. So he's playing what is considered to be the newest meta of Hollowsmith. Instead of running Photon Wall, Hardlight Arena, and Spectrum Shield with Iron-Blooded, you run the Elixir build with HGH, and you negate damage by running Elixir S. You have like AoE stun break on Elixir U, and you also have a ton of quickness uptime from your Toss Elixir U and the Elixir of the quick time of Elixir U in general. And then finally you have Flandre, who looks to be playing Condition Mirage. So he is actually running Carrion Amulet. However, he does still have Staff for the Bruiser sustainability of the 1v1. He tried to disengage with Magebane Tether attached. He's going to get caught here. He doesn't have anything left. That's really good kiting, but I think Tramodex just cucked himself. That right there is some really clean disengage with 133 health. And all you need is somebody to just like appear at the top there and just like auto attack him once. Do you think that's the best version of Hollow? I think they're both situational. By using Elixir S, you actually increase your defensive capabilities in the likes of like the current Spellbreaker meta. Current Spellbreaker meta is very high in stun breaks, so basically what you can't CC the Spellbreaker away from you. So as soon as you use your Photon Wall, you are very susceptible to the CC output of a Spellbreaker. And you'll see that a lot of the time when you play as a Hollowsmith and you use your Photon Wall, a warrior will use their Rampage almost immediately afterwards. And that's kind of what you want to avoid. And when you have Elixir S on your bar as well, it enables you to duel into the Spellbreaker and negate a lot of the damage output with the Elixir S. As well as Elixir S negating condition damage now, it's a very viable decision to take it, because if a Mirage jumps on your dick and covers it in Confusion and Torment, all you need to do is press active Elixir S, you know, negate the damage for almost 4 seconds, and the majority of the burst, you know, is gone by then. So it works in both ways. And obviously, Toss Elixir S grants you Stealth, which grants you Disengage, which again has all these strategic capabilities. Where can you find the build? It's exactly the same as SD Prop. So the previous meta. All you do is replace Hardlight Arena with Elixir U, Spectrum Shield with Elixir S, and change the last trait line so that it's not Iron-Blooded, it's HGH. So instead of the third selection of the trait line, it's the first selection of the trait line. I mean, I can pretty much show you on this guy's build anyway, right? Here, so instead of taking Iron-Blooded, you take HGH. And you replace Hardlight Arena with Elixir U, and you replace Spectrum Shield with Elixir S. You still take Photon Wall, though. Okay. Is the PvP season today? Fam? Can be time to cool off. That's what you call it, because you overheat a lot. Kappa. Do you mean, how is the PvP season today? I feel like you forgot one of the words. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, it's just not really being played. Warrior is easy to get into. Pretty interesting gameplay in high-level play. And yeah, so, like, I think Warrior teaches you a lot about duel ability, for sure. Why is there a rematch? Didn't Blue get out this one, or did they change stuff on AT? The blue team is different. This is a different blue team. We're covering the same red team. This is a different map. The first map was Battle of Kylo, or Battle for Kylo. This one obviously being Temple. No, it's not starting today. No, it starts on August 28th. So at the moment, blue team managed to pick up Stillness, which means they're earning double points for their single node ownership. Nobody from red team is actually making a rotation to get that decap, which means that the blue team are going to take away probably another 20-point lead in this time frame. Aoki Payne did go down though, so blue team are at an advantage in numbers as well. Tramadex possibly could punish this Firebrand away, especially with the rotation into the Scourge Necro. That was some really awkward movement by Prototype there. That's really interesting. Yeah, there we go. So 224 to 160. That was my estimation. Once again, red team should be making this rotation out. Aoki Payne. Okay, so Payne is now making his way over to the altar node. Should have happened a bit earlier, I think. Tramadex winning the 1v1 into the Firebrand or punishing the Firebrand away. Which ultimately, I think that he should just stand on that node and cap it. Tranquility is coming up in 3 seconds, though, however. So it looks to me like there's actually nobody on the blue team who's answering to this. So they should be in communication right now to know that this is happening. And there's the prevention from Gandalf comes back. So his presence here is enough to actually enable Prototype. Maxi Flash should not be here. That's a good trade. It's a good trade, actually, because if Maxi Flash came down and did nothing, then it wouldn't be worth it. The fact that now the Scourge is able to pressure the Revenant is good because the Scourge is actually countering the Revenant in damage, which forces the disengage and means that the Firebrand can do this whilst forcing the output. There we go. He goes down. They'll immediately stomp him. They'll still pick this up. Now it's a case of the red team rotating to the nodes and being ready to contest them immediately. Okay. This is now a waste of time. The red team need to focus on rotating and preventing further point gain. Blue team are holding 2 nodes here, and at the same time, the red team are investing a lot into the prevention of the node, which means actually they're in a 3v2 right now, whilst the blue team are still holding ownership over 2 nodes. This is bad because the blue team have actually put themselves into a singular area whilst also dictating how Tranquility plays. It looks to me like red team got Stillness, but because red team got Stillness, it doesn't mean anything. They have no node. So now that they have mid node, Tramadex just picked it up. They are ticking doubled points, and Aoki Payne did pick up this node as well. So if Payne picks this up as well, and Tramadex is able to hold this, I actually thought that he somehow got back there. That was really weird. Now the blue team is in a good place. They will probably earn approximately 40, 50 points in this time. As long as they can prevent the blue team from getting Tranquility, this will pay off. And there's the decap because Miller Moa won the 1v1 into Sikiki. So that's not actually unexpected. He is a condition burst, and obviously Revenant gets hard cucked by conditions. Red team just got a triple cap without even getting Tranquility. So the red team are playing the blue team at their own game here. The blue team invested a hell of a lot, as you can see. 3 players into preventing Tranquility, which initially started as a 2v1. This in itself is actually forcing the blue team at a disadvantage simply because the red team have capped all 3 nodes at the same time. So now what needs to happen is Tramadex, for example, needs to go out and prevent any further like decap or cap. Like, so again, Gandalf came straight out of base, got the decap in mid. Tramadex should have known that they already had 3 nodes, and they should have just had like a Firebrand down there to poke whoever was going for Tranquility. The Revenant itself, rotating away, should have been answered to by Tramadex to actually make sure that they didn't get any further decap. Gandalf is rotating into the red team close, and as you can see, Tramadex is now answering to this. If he did this earlier, this would have been a more beneficial thing for them to do. Once again, Revenant is rotating in towards Stillness. They know they need to prevent it, so Tramadex is coming in to ensure that there's only at least a 1v1 here, or at least a source of prevention. They're not going to give the red team the Stillness. This is literally 340 to 305. 35 points in it. Red team are going to pick up the mid node as well, because... See, wait, did Flandry just get Signet Res? I think he did. Where Raspberry Pancake? Yeah, okay. So it's on cooldown 80. So it's a 90-second cooldown. So it literally happened 6 seconds ago. That's fine. So that's kind of what we expect. Gandalf rotates back in to get the decap in the mid node. It's being answered to by the Firebrand. Neither of them will actually be able to pressure the Firebrand away from the node in good time. Stillness plus 2 nodes plus 3rd node means GG red team. This game will be over in the next 30 seconds. If the blue team do not act, nothing will happen for the blue team in order to bring this back. As you can see, that is the Elixir S being activated to prevent the burst damage from the Revenant. And there's the rotation of another Revenant coming in to punish another Revenant. Aoki Pain does go down, but there's no Elixir S passive on Thickest. He's going to get stomped by Tramadex, which is going to lead to the rally of the Revenant. And now this is just GG. The Stillness is not even in play anymore, but they definitely played that rotation better. The failure of the blue team was the overinvestment into Tranquility whilst not really monitoring the other nodes. They gave all 3 nodes to red team for way too long, and they did not try to answer to them with rotations. They just threw everybody at Tranquility, which is just really unfortunate. I think Temple is one of those maps that really punishes players who do not pay attention to rotations, for sure. Fucking perfect timing, dudes. Perfect timing. 512.
Hold on to your
Alright, so Floody is playing the Elixir Holosmith build, as previously stated. He is effectively able to do whatever he needs. He is a jack of all trades. He will operate as a rotational damage dealer, as well as he will operate as a duelist if needs be. Arena Vitari is playing Scourge Necro, 26-612. I'm assuming that because he has Cranox, he's going to be running the Curse of Soul Reaping with Deadshot. Yep. So he's not running Blood Magic Self-Sustain. His sustain is in the format of Cranox, which is his Firebrand support, who is running Signet of Mercy as well. Kiana is playing Spellbreaker Warrior, Dagger, Shield, and I'm assuming Greatsword. Looks to be the standard meta. Double stun break on Shake It Off with Endure Pain and Featherfoot Grace. So 4 stun breaks plus Rampage equals Unstoppable fucking Warrior. And then finally you have Only Average, which appears to be playing DP Thief, which is the standard meta. However, he does have Withdraw instead of the Daredevil Heal. Fuck, what's it called? Channeled Vigor. So the fact that he's running Withdraw would imply that he's not running the trait line that supports it. So again, he's running Havoc Mastery instead of Brawler's Tenacity. So he's actually getting additional damage increase coming from Havoc Mastery, which sort of makes DP Thief more viable as a damage dealer instead of just being reliant on SD. He's getting cucked by the pad there. Nice jump. So the Thief waited for the Revenant, sorry, waited for the Thief to jump on the pad and then used Unrelenting Assault to follow him. So the red team seem pretty meta. They have what is effectively a duelist in the form of the Spellbreaker. They have a rotational damage dealer or also secondary duelist. They have a Firebrand and a Necromancer. So that is those in themselves are going to be contesting nodes as well. So that's 3-node contest plus the rotation of the Thief as a form of decap. I'm not sure that spreading themselves so thin is going to pay off for the red team. I've said this before. The fact that they have, 3-node contest as opposed to 2-node contest with a rotational damage dealer, or 2 rotational damage dealers, in fact, means that they do stand to be overrun. As you can see, the fact that they currently have no node ownership, but the blue team have double node ownership, is because it's easy for them to be in 1v1 matchups due to the fact they are so duelist and bunker heavy. Blue team have Tramadex, who I'm assuming is running Trama War, Strength and Discipline. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that he's running his build. He's going to run his build. Aoki Pain is Power Shield Revenant. Prototype is Scourge Necromancer, probably still running Wells. Carrion with... Yep, so he's still running Wells. Maxi Flash, who is the Firebrand Sustain to the Scourge Necromancer. Not running Signet of Mercy, but opting to be somewhat... a little bit maybe a little bit offensive by using Echo of Truth. And then finally you have Milamoa, who is a side node bruiser. I'm assuming he's running his hybrid build as well, just to confirm. Yep, so running Sage Amulet does have tons of self-sustain and will be very effective as a bruiser. So when you compare the actual builds that they're running, the compositions, the blue team has what is effectively... it is kind of a 3-node versus 3-node, because even though Milamoa isn't really just... you know, he's not a duelist, but he can enable a 1v1, and the red team is looking for 1v1 engagements over at least 2 or 3 of the nodes. It kind of fits. And then you have Tramadex, who is on a side node, and then you have the Necro and the Firebrand, who is on a node, and then you have Aoki Pain, who is rotating. So the only difference really being in terms of the composition is that the rotational damage dealer of the red team is a DP thief, and the rotational damage dealer of the blue team is a Power Shearer Revenant. So the Revenant should actually be doing more damage, arguably, than the red team in terms of rotational damage. So a lot of what it comes down to is actually a skill matchup between the Duelists of the red team and the Bruisers or Duelists of the blue team. As you can see, Milamoa has gone down. Milamoa, being a bruiser, being the Mesmer, is having to contest, or had to contest, into Floody. Floody, she came back straight through the portal, was shut down immediately by Floody. Floody knows that this node isn't going anywhere at all because he can see everybody else on the map. And whoever comes out of spawn is going to come directly out of the south side of the map. You know, towards the blue spawn, which means that actually Floody can make this rotation towards his team to help even out the numbers. He is making a strategic choice to, you know, he's not giving up B node. You know, B node is perfectly fine. C node is perfectly fine. But now that Milamoa is running out of base, ignoring the team fight, this means that somebody has to answer to it. So you see Floody being spot on with, he noticed this immediately. It still got lost. And the reason he's not standing there and capping that as well is the fact that Milamoa made the immediate choice to rotate towards C straight away after capping that node. Floody was like, nah, fuck it. I've already lost the node. I don't need to do this. I don't need to sit here with you and, you know, just re-pick up the node whilst you go and decap my other node. So he weighed it up in his mind very, very quickly to say, this is worth it for me. I'm making sure that C does not get taken in the same rotation, starts following Milamoa, would have punished Milamoa on his rotation over anyway, possibly killed him. And now Milamoa even rotated off and TP'd back, right? Did I just see that? So he TP'd back, and now he's rotating into the C node. So he's going to be answered to in the rotation, and then you go. So he was being a bit greedy there in trying to move around the map too freely. Got picked off by the DP Thief, and I believe also from the Scourge Necro. Being rezzed by Maxi Flash, they don't have enough damage output to prevent that. Floody, I believe, just got the Skyhammer. So any points that were picked up by the blue team has once again been negated by Floody. Milamoa still opting not to rotate. Now is rotating, which is possibly a good method of slowing down the game because there's nobody that's answering to him. Floody seems to have been caught up in this this engagement in the mid node. This could still pay off for him if he gets the Necromancer kill here, which he is, and he's using Active Elixir S to secure the Stomp. And Maxi Flash was not able to res him in that time. So that was a good use of a defensive cooldown that makes him immune. To secure the Stomp, you can still follow through the action of Stomp whilst in Elixir S. Blue team still the only node on the map ticking. However, the punishment of the red team in killing all of these blue team members is actually paying off for them more than it would if they were to rotate off and, you know, put themselves at a numbers disadvantage. They take Maxi Flash out. Milamoa will follow for attempting the res if he overstays. Floody's obviously going to chase him. Oh wait, there's Aoki Pain in and makes this a 2v2. Aoki Pain might go for the res, gets the Stomp immediately from only average, so using Shadow Step Stomp there, that was good. Floody now in a 1v2 though, being heavily punished. Floody is forced into his passive, has nothing left. Milamoa does go down. There's the inactive Elixir S to secure the Stomp, but it seemed to me that he actually gave up on it. Once he saw Cranox come back in to resustain him, there's the Signet res from Cranox. Wait, how did he res? Rally? Must be in the rally. They burned through Milamoa. Sorry, I correct myself. It was not Signet res. It was a rally that picked up only average. So the red team actually lost nothing for that. And they did actually pick up the mid node as well in that time because the red team Necromancer chose to stand on the node and cap that node in that time. Floody making the rotation out to get the decap on C, which arguably is the correct rotation. He's going to be in a 1v1 against Aoki Pain. Arguably, he would be smart to disengage this, considering that Floody doesn't have his defensive cooldowns up to answer to this immediately. However, he does have Elixir S coming up, so he's feeling more confident. Floody would really know what to do here. I know that much. DP Thief has come in as well, so actually now this is a 2v1, which makes it even more so viable. And now that he has Elixir S up, for sure, he can negate a lot of the burst damage that would come out of Aoki. So if Aoki Pain decides to phase traversal into him, he can immediately Elixir S and be ready to negate all of that damage output. One thing to say is that the blue team are doing very well at preventing the red team from getting any further points. They have kept themselves in it by keeping at least one node ticking whilst, preventing the cap of the others. There's the blue team ownership of Skyhammer as well. I think that Floody obviously predicted that it was coming in and therefore did not stand underneath the node. Decided to fight away from it until he knew what was happening. Now, Floody's going to be forced into a 1v1 with Melomoa. Aoki Pain obviously hanging around because he wants to immediately burst Floody out. Floody wants to make sure that he knows where the Revenant is. He's just seen the Revenant off node with the Thief, but the Revenant is now rotating back in, and here's the engagement back on Floody. So you'll see that Floody moved off the pillar once he saw that his Thief saw the Revenant outside of the node. He was like, okay, Revenant is rotating away. Perfect. That's exactly my time to engage. Jump back on the node to prevent the engage. The cap from the Mesmer. And then was forced to disengage again back onto the pillar once the Revenant re-engaged. Floody there burst again by the unblockable attacks of the Revenant. Which means that the blue team actually stand a good chance at getting the cap of this C node. Blue team actually picking up double node ownership here, plus potential third if Tramadex can force Kiana away from this node. Milamoa needs to actually punish this as well. Only average getting the knockdown on the Mesmer. Tramadex will secure this. They will not be allowing him to get the res. This is now a 3v2 engagement onto Only Average and Kiana. Only Average being punished heavily by Tramadex, forced to disengage away. Only Average now needs to get the rotations and into play. He is pretty much the only person who can move around freely with Shortbow 5 and the utilization of stealth to get this decap. Aoki Pain is going to jump on him immediately and prevent the cap. The decap, rather. So Aoki Pain needs to make sure that he does not move off that node, which is what he's doing. So blue team are bringing themselves back into this, and arguably, the reason that they're able to do this is that maybe the red team don't have enough damage to actually punish the blue team away. Because you have to remember, red team are very duelist heavy, right? They have themselves spread very thin. And normally, the pressure would come from, say, a Necromancer and a Firebrand, putting down so much damage on a node that, they can't be answered to. But when you match that with a Necromancer and Firebrand, they kind of counter each other. They kind of like hit each other, and they can't do that much on the node. The node typically sits neutral until another source of damage comes in, which obviously is not happening here. Milamoa making the rotation back to get the decap of what the Thief just picked up. I expect that Milamoa will be able to win the 1v1 here, so it's not a smart engage by the DP Thief. Unless the DP Thief plays it perfectly. DP Thief does not have very much in terms of condition removal. So they get the decap for the blue team, and red team actually lose 3 members in that time. And blue team gets Skyhammer. So blue team eliminate the decap event. They lose both their off-node duelist and their team fighter in the same engage. So now it's a 5v3. Blue team pick up double node, which means that in the next 20-30 seconds that they're going to rebalance this fight. This is the potential for the blue team comeback, for sure. 100%. And now Tramadex is capping the red team close, unanswered. So blue team are about to get 3-node cap. This is the 3rd time, right, that the blue team have made a triple cap across 3 different fights, three different games, 3 different maps. They are playing the rotations of this exceptionally well. And the red team really need to answer this very quickly. So you can see that the red team utilized a lot of their burst damage into shutting down the Firebrand immediately. Scourge Necro will follow because it lacks sustain. Revenant will follow as well because the Revenant has no sustain into condition damage. They just got the res on the Necromancer. How did that happen? I mean, this is the turning point. Now, okay, pay attention to what Floody and what Tramadex Floody and Kiana are doing. Kiana is rotating into C to get the decap. Floody is also rotating in to get the decap. He's been CC'd away by the portal, but he still gets the decap by walking into it before they could. That means that there's at least 2 nodes that have been knocked off the game. All 3 nodes decap simultaneously by rotation. However, if Floody dies here, this is very bad because what will happen is the blue team will pick up that node again. Floody goes down. Oh, he's just about resustaining himself. He keeps using, oh, what's it called? Oh, what the fuck is that trait called? Venheat? Where is it? Where is the fucking trait? Where is the trait? Heat therapy. Heat therapy. He was healing by dodge rolls to keep himself in the game. That was so close, man. That was so close. I mean, I think that was a good game, but the red team sort of, they let themselves get triple capped. The blue team out-rotated them. Okay. Floody's going to DC? Well, why do you think he's called Floody C? It's a clever play on words. What a guy. What a guy. Okay. So Arena playing Deadshot. He's the teamfight damage, Curse of Soul Reaping. Standard damage output for the team fights. Cranox is the support for that. He's not running Signet of Mercy, though. But Brian is playing Elixir Hollowsmith. Line is playing what looks to be DP Thief, running Withdraw and Blinding Powder. So slightly different. Probably choosing to use Havoc Mastery here. Yep, Havoc Mastery. So that's the reason why he's taken Withdraw, because he gets to use it without being forced to use the Channeled Vigor. And that pretty much covers everybody. Okay, so that's red team. They have a meta comp. Pretty much full meta. They have two duelists, single node ownership via the Necromancer and the Firebrand, and then the rotational damage leader is line. Ebrush is a Power Shearer Revenant. He is running what looks to be the complete meta build. Gonna confirm, yes. Mistel here is playing Carrion Amulet, full condition output. Let's see if he's running staff. No, he's not, so he just wants to do damage. He's going to operate as a rotation damage leader, I would say. Chocolate is... He was playing Sword Dagger before, so yeah, Sword Dagger. He is playing the meta Sword Dagger build. Josh and Nia is playing the Static Discharge Protection build with Demolisher's Amulet. So operating as a jack of all trades, he'll do what he needs to do. Probably in this context, I would expect him to be operating on a side node by himself in a 1vx capacity. And then finally, you have Lugo, who is, playing a hybrid build. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a staff. He does. So staff, Axe Torch, and Sage Amulet, so operating as a bruiser on the side node with a 1v1. So the blue team have a more rotational damage comp-based thing, I think, because they have Double Mesmer, which are operating, again, on side nodes, basically, and then you have the Thief and the Revenant rotating, and then you have the Engineer, who is fighting as an Engineer on a side node. So in this case, he is 1v1ing into Floody. Floody obviously being the bruiser within the duelist within the red team, but Brian being the other duelist, so he's looking to be on a node by himself. And now this kind of puts Cranox and Arena in a kind of a weird place. They're not, take a note, they're not spreading themselves over this node, okay? They're not really paying attention to this. They are kind of seeing what happens with the distribution of teammates. So Arena and Cranox are now pushing into Floody because they saw that there were 3 people invested into Floody. And they were just sort of hanging around on this little area, like down here. They weren't going too far away from either node. They knew that they could get there if they needed to. So then that forced Vibrian to act as the node owner for the midpoint. Obviously now being resustained by Cranox. Cranox rotated back after they won the fight by the mine node. And now, you know, red team are spreading themselves very thickly over 2 nodes. And they're not trying to outplay that third node. They're not even getting that rotation out. To be honest, PvD Hero, line, could actually, once they have a numbers advantage, a solid numbers advantage, probably when Lugo dies here, he would be smart to rotate out towards this node because his team has a numbers advantage over, you know, it's a 5v4, which means he could do this if he wished to. That doesn't necessarily mean that he should. You know, if he feels that he can +1 over here into Floody, for example, and create the numbers advantage again for them. As you can see, Cranox is running in with Arena as well. So the red team are actually investing a lot of players into this node. They need to be careful they don't give this up, though, hence why Vibrian is still here operating as that duelist. He's in a 1v2. He's pressured. He's forced to kite to try and abuse line of sight and stuff like that. Now, he's not really going to be able to do this, even though PvD Hero is here to answer to it slightly and to resustain him slightly. The fact that they actually have double Mesmer coming up and Revenant to punish this mid node, they won't be able to do anything here until they have Arena and Cranox. That said, they did just take Chocolate out, and Chocolate are keeping themselves in this, actually, because they're getting the decaps. You know, they're at least neutralizing these nodes, whilst this node gets untouched. So I don't think that the red team can actually leave that node any longer, and the red team still be comfortable. Again, the red team are going to get their mine node. That's going to potentially be contested by the Mesmer, who is running next to Mystelia, who's running next to PvD Hero. Again, red team do get the kill on Joshineer. They get Lugo, and they've had eBrush down as well in the mid node. So once again, red team will pick up double node. But in that time that they were neutralized, that blue team still kept that henge point ticking. Nobody is answering to this. So I think it would be smart for PvD Hero to make that rotation. He needs to make it. He needs to force the blue team to... Because look, if you look at it this way, the red team are already winning the majority of team fights, right? The only thing that they're giving up is the neutralization of the node. So if the red team are able to force the blue team to apply at least one person to that node for 15 seconds to rotate into it away from the team fights, red team will get a snowballed advantage because they're already winning. And it's only going to take the thief, you know, approximately 5 seconds on the node to get the decap, and he can do it in stealth as well. So he can make... Here we go. So he was on his way to make the rotation. He's been stopped in his rotation by the enemy thief and by the Revenant. Thief is still giving chase, so there's going to be a 1v1 DP Thief into Sword Dagger. I would expect PvD Hero to win this engagement, especially considering he has Havoc Mastery, and I think Chocolate will be forced to disengage away. And now so you see, the red team are now gaining off of this passively. Even though this rotation possibly wasn't preferential for the thief in terms of comfort, he's actually won that 1v1. He dragged the Mesmer into him to, you know, being forced to answer to it. But at this time, he created a minimal 2v1. And the red team have been able to profit off of this entirely. There's the full decap. He's not going to full cap because he doesn't need to. He just wants to prevent the point gain of the blue team. And over that, the red team held the close node and they held the mid node. And it's actually beneficial to them. The engineer forced to take the portal out and is now answering to the... Wait, that was not their portal, was it? That was Lugo. I could have sworn that I saw the engineer disappear from mid onto that node. Maybe it was. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they did it and fuck knows. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, you can see how just like a simple rotation like that from the thief was enough to enable the red team to maintain 2-node ownership and to prevent any point gain. Once again, you can see that PvD Hero is trying to sneak in here. Joshineer not really able to answer. He doesn't have Bassi to stop him in his tracks. But he made the rotation and he's forcing Joshineer to stay on that node now. By his rotation, he's encouraging Joshineer to not be in that team fight. So once again, he's trying to outplay him with the rotation. There comes Chocolate, Revenant, and Engineer. 3 blue team players are actually heavily investing into the single node, or were hanging around it, which is obviously detrimental to the numbers advantage of the red team. The red team are just going to take ownership over the map now. They're spreading themselves too thick now. You do not want 3 people looking at ownership of a node, just to prevent a decap. And it looks like he's going to get that decap anyway. He's not pressured by Chocolate. And DP Thief does win into SD because it has so much prevention kit, in the form of blind. Every single time that Chocolate tries to use Sword 1, PvD Hero will be able to pulmonary impact him and prevent the cast. And yeah, red team are more organized. They're spreading themselves strategically. You know, let me bring you back to referencing where Cranox and Arena, they were hanging around here between the two nodes. They weren't over-investing into the third node, whereas the blue team were trying to do everything over the 3 nodes. And it's like, well, actually, no, the blue team were conforming to the plan of the red team, right? The red team obviously trying to make them play over 2 nodes, and as soon as that node was actually left alone for long enough, and they had that strategic advantage, PvD Hero is now able to play around that henge node and prevent any point gain. And since he's been playing around this node, the red team have made their lead. They've made their real lead in point gain. So this kind of showcases how important it is to play that denial game, to do your best to prevent any point gain at all from the enemy team if the situation presents itself. So PvD Hero spread himself over the 2 nodes, was the +1 back and forth for a long time, and when he saw his opportunity, he took it. And now, since then, the blue team have been trying to come back from that, and that's what's actually given the red team their lead. The blue team are having to place a player on this node, or 2 players on this node, to prevent this decap. And, you know, even this, a 2v1 against the Thief, the red team are now, you know, dominating the rest of the map because of it. So yeah, it's more so like how those things happen and how they present themselves that lead to a lead. Power Rev does 40k with 2 or 3 skills with a 1v1 build against a Zerg Guardian with 12k HP. But I mean, if you don't build armor, then you're going to get shot down by any power build. Same goes for like a DP Thief that's full Berserk or whatever. Like you're going to see a one-shot capability regardless, right? So this game was actually relatively close whilst the blue team were answering to the double node and the red team weren't actually focusing on henge. Again, you're going to see the rotation from PvD Hero that's probably going to force somebody to take this portal and return. We might see Lugo come back. There we go. Lugo tried to come back to answer to it. He now has to, you know, sit here in a 1v1 with this Thief to, you know, essentially prevent it from taking the node from him. But here we go. DP Thief answering heavily to the Mesmer. And there we go. So this is actually super beneficial for the red team. Lugo sat on his ass, and now the full cap is enabled. That said, the red team did take Joshnir and Ebrash out at the same time.
Did you see that? Red team got a capture point.
I think the red team just executed it better, ultimately.
Did you see that? Red team got a capture point.
Watching stream for advantage 2, Kappa? Come on, Josh. You're not really gaining any advantage by, like, me talking to you. By me discussing what the red team are doing, that doesn't really give you an advantage. Because I'm not really giving you any strategic ideas. Come on, bro. I mean, I liked that game because it did showcase how rotations are important. So, I hope you guys still, like, find these things entertaining or at least educational. I'd be interested to know your opinions regarding what I do, and if you have any recommendations or anything you'd like to see differently or done differently. Second day is always worse, Bishta. So the first day of Ache is only like half the pain of the second day. So be prepared for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be worse. It's only as outrageous as you putting Jow in everything that sounds like O. All right, Painlo is playing Power Shiver Rev, Rotational Damage Dealer. Rashida playing Firebrand Support to the pairing of Reshid, who is playing Wells Scourge. So I'm assuming he's running Blood Magic, which he is, to benefit him with his Vampiric Rituals, Vampiric Resonance, and Lesser Well of Blood. So they have the team fight damage, they have the support, they have the rotational damage dealer. Milamoa is operating as a bruiser. Of course, he's running his hybrid build with staff, and Tenebra is playing as a Spellbreaker Duelist on a side node. Seems to be running he's not running Trauma War, he's just running something that is very offensive. So he is running Defense and Discipline, which are the standard meta trait lines, but he does have Bull's Charge instead of, say, you know, Featherfoot Grace or what is it called? Fucking the double fucking stun break.
Red team got a
The shout.
capture point.
Just Casual is playing Power Shiro Rev, so Rotational Damage Dealer. Line is still playing DP Thief with Havoc Mastery and Withdraw. Flood EDC is playing Elixir Hollowsmith, the same that Vibrian was playing, but Vibrian is now playing the Revenant rotation. He is now Just Casual. Cranox is the Firebrand support to the pairing that is Arena. So you can see that actually both teams have meta builds. However, I would argue that maybe the Duellist lineup on the red team is more beneficial than what the blue team is running. I think that the red team are not able to spread themselves as... Actually, red team can spread themselves more thin, but blue team have so much damage dealing potential that they will actually be able to punish the Duelists of the red team. You'll see that the red team didn't really do anything there to punish the blue team. They were all pushed down mainly off the back of the high damage that was coming out of the Thief and the Revenant combined, as well as obviously the damage that was coming out from the Necromancer. And, you know, the Curse's Soul Reaping build with Deadshot is very unforgiving when you eat a load of conditions. Like, you will get melted eventually. So, you know, it's to be expected. Last monthly tourney, the Deadeye was straight carrying until the enemies put all 4 people on Deadeye duty and made a comeback. Are you referring to the one that happened like a few days ago? If you're talking about Phaleth, I think it's Phaleth. Phaleth didn't really achieve that much as a Deadeye in that game. You're talking about like when they played in the final, right? If it was 2 months ago, maybe. That like it was pretty instrumental, yeah. But later on, it wasn't. I like to see streamers debating about patches and builds. If you want to talk about it in some streams, I will appreciate. So, Dan, I did that in the podcast, and I think I'd rather keep those discussions for podcast content because then I don't run dry. You know, like I can separate those things into different, you know, methods of making content. Okay, so we've just seen that the red team, Milamoa, they knew that they were losing mid, so what do? They teleported everybody out, and now they're getting the decap on Waterfall, and they're going to apply themselves to it. So they did lose the Necromancer, which is the team fight damage, but I'm guessing that the Firebrand and the both the condition and power damage that's going to come from Pain and Milamoa will support the Firebrand in his ownership of this node. So there's the cap. Rashida should be able to out-sustain Floody's damage application, especially when Milamoa and Pain do apply their damage to the focus of Floody to relieve the Firebrand. They need to make sure that they try and sort of maintain this. Actually, it's getting a decap in mid, so Tenebrae making a solid rotation there from Red Team close. He saw the opportunity to prevent the damage gain, the point gain, and now he's going to make it so that the red team are going to be taking double node. That said, Pain Lotus has gone down, which means that the blue team will be in a 5v4. Tenebrae is actually going to stay there in the mid node. He doesn't need to be on the close node. He can look at the minimap and see that everybody is actually like funneled in from the blue team onto that singular node. So he knows that nobody's going to be contesting it. Milimo would probably do well to actually, does he have Portal's now coming up? He should probably drop Portal, go back to red team close, and leave Tenebrae to actually sustain into Floody. And then he can Portal back if he needs to. Especially with the rotations now coming from Venerate. So actually now, look. So, wait, fuck. Wait, who was rotating? Here we go. This is what I saw. The DP Thief obviously rotating back. If Milamoa had been here already, that was a really good use of Bassi. He kept the Warrior on the sideline there for just one tick, and he took the full decap. So, you know, Milamoa didn't really have an opportunity to disengage there, but he has forced a 1v2 on the other team node, close node. And now he's obviously utilizing Portal to force himself into a 1v1 against Cranox. Now, he does have the Firebrand there. Actually, no, sorry, he has the Necromancer there, able to, you know, +1 him. Milamoa was not the focus there of O'Brien. You obviously saw O'Brien come in with the, or Just Casual come in with the phase traversal and the shackling wave. That took that Necromancer all the way down to half health. That's how punishing that can be, especially if they get some like really high crit damage and they follow it up with like, you know, a few, maybe even Sword 2. That would be enough to put them down. Great stream. I'm trying to get good at SPVP, and your commentary is super helpful. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you for the compliments. So again, you can see that Floody is being forced into the 1v1 and the contest of the node. He tried to use stealth there, I think, to disengage away from the node, which is why Milimo was able to get the neutral. And actually, he's punishing Floody because Floody doesn't really have anything more to answer to this. He might even overheat. Actually, no, sorry, that's a visual bug. That's a visual bug. And now he got the clearance. I think that what actually happened there was the DP Thief came and granted him Signet of Agility, which clears conditions around you as well. It's not just on you. So he actually saved Floody's life there by getting underneath his body and using the Signet to remove what was killing him. Really, really smart play there by the DP Thief. Actually made it so that Floody did not die, resustain him, allowed him to rotate back into a 4-man build-up in the mid. So once again, you can see that Milimoa is actually owning the side node. He's dropped the portal, he's rotating, and should he need to, he'll take that portal back. He might take people with you, but he's here to actually resustain his teammates now that he knows he can return to that node with the portal. Keep note that Floody is still alive, now again once in a 1v1 against the Warrior. He should technically win this, especially with the +1 that's coming in from the DP Thief right now. So there's the full counter, there's the application. They know it's going to be another 6 seconds. That's 5 seconds of shield stance. There's the chain knockdown. And they're going to get the full counter pop up right now. There's the full counter. And they need to kill this guy before Milimoa comes in and resustain. So there's the shield stance. He's going to go down here. Here we go. So he's using active Elixir S to ensure the cap. Unless that's... Yeah, it was active. He should still have passive now because that would be back off cooldown. So now we're back in a 1v1 engagement of Floody against Milimoa. It's not going to pay off for Floody here. Floody doesn't have anything left to actually answer to him. He's forced to disengage. He needs the +1 back from the DP Thief. That was a lot of damage they just applied to him. But Milimoa does have tons of self-sustain. So again, when False Oasis comes up, you'll see him full heal. Oh, that was a lot of spike damage. God damn! So DP Thief goes down. They can now take this very, very comfortably. And actually, no, Tenebra is back. So maybe they could reinvest the 2v1. They're not actually at a deficit for it because the Firebrand on the blue team, Cranox, is still in mid, preventing any decap. And the Revenant actually won the engagement on this node over here as well. So Pain Lotus is still bleeding out. Rashida is down. And I do believe that the Necromancer was here to aid the Revenant in that choice. So Arena is now rotating to the other side. He looks like he ran through mid. And they are running to prevent the node being given up to Tenebra or to Reshid. So this is now a 3v2. And Floody has rotated back to mid to ensure that that would not be taken. Blue team have 3-node ownership. Now, if they play this correctly, they will maintain 3-node ownership. They need to pay attention to what the red team are going to do. The red team look like they're actually overly investing into the single node. They want to outnumber very, very fast and punish. So Arena goes down. That's now a 5v4 advantage for the red team. Reshid has gone down, though, so they might be trading Necros here. Okay, so they get the res from the Firebrand. Milimoa punished. Milimoa does go down. Everybody should probably flood into Milimoa, but they probably don't have that many boons to actually sustain this whilst getting the beat down of their lives from the blue team. So red team are actually making a really smart play to try and create momentum off of this. This is a momentum play. They're trying to create that numbers advantage to put the blue team on respawn and get those decaps. They need to get the decaps, and they want to do that by outnumbering them, punishing them, power creeping them away from the nodes. And this is exactly what you're seeing. So again, a 3v2, just casual, possibly having used his infused light. Actually, no, he hasn't. He still has it, so he can sustain this node for a little while longer. As soon as he's being punished, he'll use it. There's the full heal that's going to come in. He's now on a 1v3. He'll die here. He has nothing left. So now red team actually got the decap on that red team close node. They're now in a 2v2. That said, Milimoa is very heavily punished. He's going to go down, so Floody not able to... Oh, actually, Rashida would be very smart here. Rashida did not die. Milimoa goes down. Floody exceptionally low. If Rashida can get one set of conditions output... Never mind, that's the resustain from Floody's healing turret. So now that's going to go back in the favor of the blue team. Blue team still have ownership over their the red team. Sorry, the blue team close with the warrior and the necromancer looking after this. That's rampage used as well by Tenebra. He's dipped out already into Greatsword 5. He just wants to make sure that he's trying to like keep them pressure on the node, but he's not going to really be able to answer the Scourge and the Firebrand combo. And you know, red team, all they have is the mid node. And to be honest, they need to get this decap. They need to get both decaps. They need to out-rotate this blue team. The blue team is like they're very, very good players. Obviously, most of them, if not all of them, have played in Legendary, if not are Legendary right now. Still sad to see bad people with that title thinking they're hot stuff. What you mean, best of the best, or do you mean God of PvP? And yeah, during the monthly AT, T-Pop did not DC. He exited the game because he got stuck in terrain and was forced. So, okay, yeah, we're seeing the blue team win.
Did you see that?
GG, blue team. You guys outplayed like a bitch. Well played. Good shit. Good shit. Well played.